CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester.
Got it bumping.
What's up, everybody, man? It's your boy, Uncle P. If you would like to be a sponsor of CMPRadio.net, man, hit us up at info, that's INFO, at CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
Cultivating mature positivity. CMPRadio.net.
Hi, my name is Donna, also known as Donna Janel, CEO and founder of Parenting with a Purpose. Our strive here at the podcast is to reach every home, whether single moms, married, single dads, whatever it is, foster parents, whatever, just bringing the ownership and responsibility and nobility back into parenting. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. All parents need some help and guidance, and I'm just here to be a guide. Here aiming to strive to make parenting beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm just adjusting my thing because it's dropping down a little bit. But can you guys hear me loud and clear? All right, then sorry about that. Again, my name is Donna Janel. I am your host with Parenting with a Purpose. My job here is to aim you to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. As you know, parenting is not for the weak. It is a hard life being a parent out here. A parent comes in all shapes and sizes. It's very diverse, right? And the one goal that I believe that no matter what culture you are, what religion you are, what country you're in, what gender you are, we all have the same goal, is to make our children successful, right? It looks different for everybody. Success looks different for you than it does for me and my family. However, I believe that every parent wants their child to be successful. And what happens is sometimes we don't have the tools to make that happen. So my job here is to bring all the tools to you, just to assist you, just to help you, just to encourage you, to motivate you to be the best parent that you can be. Again, parenting is different from everyone, right? Because we heard the words intentional parenting, gentle parenting, aggressive parenting. There's all types of parenting styles out there. I just want you to be the best parent you can be. So again, Donna Janel, we are here weekly at 7 p.m. And we know that one of my themes is, one of my mantras is that we as parents are the bows and our children are arrows, right? They will land wherever we send them, whatever direction we send them in. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may take a couple years. Eventually, what you put in your child and where you aim your child at, they will go. I know that I see relationships where parents and their children are restored, that their relationships were severed for whatever reason, but they were able to reconnect, and the child is actually where the parent originally sent them out to be. So again, through life situations and circumstances, things happen. Parenting just happened. Life be lifing out there, y'all. Life is real. It is hard. We got these situationships. We got these children. You know, we got these COVID babies out here. Woo! Parenting after COVID ain't the same, y'all. It ain't the same. It ain't the same parenting after COVID. However, we can get through it if we help one another. tonight's topic is one of the a topic dear to my heart as well, because at the time we're talking about teen pregnancy, right? Teen parents and being a teenage mom. At the time, I didn't even realize I was a teen mom. I was 19, got married, and had a baby. How about the word teen is in 19, right? Didn't realize I'm thinking I'm 18, I'm grown. I ain't no teenager. 19, had a baby. So tonight's topic is teen parenting, and I have a special guest here. She has such a long introduction. I'm going to try to do it and do it well for her. We have Miss Becky here. So we have Rebekah McDonald, also known as Bariatric Barbii. She is a mother, a wife, a nurse, an author, a motivational speaker. She's Miss Delaware. She's Miss Clayton in Delaware. So she has been Queen Miss Clayton, y'all. And she came in 3rd place as Miss Delaware. The whole state of Delaware, she came in 3rd place. She is the owner of Bariatric Beautiful Barbie. So I have Becky here tonight. I call her Becky. You want Becky or Rebekah?
Well, we can do Becky.
Becky. All right. I have Becky here. And thanks for joining our show, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank
Am I
you.
close enough?
Becky and I go way back to high school. I actually younger than high school. I
Elementary.
remember we all from the we all kind of grew up in Chester together. So
Yes.
I remember Becky. It's interesting though, Becky, because when we went to school, I remember you, but then I got to know you more after school.
Yes. In our nursing.
In our nursing,
In
right?
nursing.
Yeah. And then I was like, I know her. What? I know her. I know her, but I don't know her.
The funny part you're going to laugh about this is because I think I got a 2nd or 3rd grade picture of us at Booker T.
What? You should have brought that picture today.
I'm telling you, I didn't have time last night, but I thought about it, and I said, Becky, you were supposed to get that picture together to bring it in.
Oh, wow. Booker T. Oh, man.
Now you're talking about a long time.
That's a very long time.
Long time.
All right. So, Becky, so I kind of just talked a little bit about teen pregnancy. 3 out of 10 teens will become pregnant before the age 20 years old. That is statistics.
Yeah.
That is 3 out of 10 before the age 20. That number actually got better.
It did.
Because
It
it was
did.
more, it was more, because I know growing up, the first thing, all I heard in my whole family was, don't get pregnant
And this is
before
true.
you graduate,
This
because
is true.
it has been a generation over and over again in my family.
Mine as well.
And that's what that's all I remember. They didn't say, don't get STDs, don't do this, don't get that. They said, don't get pregnant.
Don't get pregnant. Well, being a teen and you have to be taught education about sex.
Right.
I mean, you're raised in an area where sex is popular, and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Right.
You have no education to go behind it. And our parents at the time, a lot of our parents were ignorant. Don't get pregnant. Well, how you get pregnant? How do I protect myself?
Right.
And at what age are we going to start having sex, or who's having sex?
Right.
So my story is a little rare.
All right. Well, come on, break it down. Tell
All right,
these people
so-
what's going on with you.
Okay, so pregnant for me was a total different ballgame. We're talking being pregnant at 13. I don't know what's going on. I just know I'm out in the streets, meeting different guys, having fun, and got a boyfriend, call myself love bugging it, and I got pregnant. Raised Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So that sure wasn't going to go well.
Right.
Okay. So my mother being diagnosed with lupus at an early age, me being 7, I think, and she in and out the hospital. My mother and father were married. They're still, well, my mother passed away, but they were married at the time. And it was shameful for them. More so shameful for me, too, as well, because, you know, older people on the block, I'm from 3rd and Lamoken. Very
Smoking
busy.
Lamoken.
Smoking Lamoken. Very busy area, and the older women would look at me and be like, you know. So I had my head down a little low for a long time. I had him when I was 14, and I could remember me saying to myself, how am I going to take care of this baby? I had my mother and father. How am I going to take care of this baby? And for me, I'm like, I need a job. But I still got to go to school.
Right.
So I'm going to 8th grade.
Right.
We're not even in Chester High. We're at Showwater.
Wow, yeah.
And everybody's like, Becky's pregnant. And I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant. So my mom and dad, they didn't take it too well at first. Not at all. My father, he was hurt because I was his girl. So I go on and I have my son. His father was there. He was supportive at the time, and he was a decent guy, but he was young. He didn't know anything about being a father.
Right. Just like
You
you
know,
know
I
nothing
know
about being a
mom.
mom. Right.
Child, my stomach started getting big, my feet. I'm like, wait a minute, Then he started moving, the normal stuff. But as a child, your body's changing. I'm like, what's going on? Went to all my appointments, did everything right. I went to Pearl Hall. We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the journey was different. It was different. It was one that I'll never forget. To say about teen pregnancy, young girls now, they're more career oriented. Mm-hmm. They're more so worried about how they're going to take care of themselves. Right. And women have become selfish. So teen pregnancy, I do believe it went down, like you said.
Yeah, it is. I was
not
looking at
the
the numbers from when we were younger, and the numbers were so high. But I think the interesting part is that I go back and I try to look at history, because I think about even before our time. The reason why we can say it's generational because it's happened before us, right?
Okay.
You weren't the first 13-year-old that got pregnant,
My
right?
My
Yeah,
grandmother,
see?
she had her child, I think her first at 14.
But the interesting part, when back in the day when they were having children young, that
was
wasn't
different.
frowned upon.
No, because they got married, and they were building families.
Right.
So it wasn't a shame thing. The man didn't leave,
Right.
and they were married, so it was respected, Nowadays, it's like, who are you pregnant by?
Right. So they got married. So because I was looking, because even when you look back into slavery, right? They were having babies at 12, 13 years old, going into pre-adolescence, right? And I'm like, nobody's setting. Matter of fact, they were encouraged to have children so young, right? But they were encouraged to have children so young for the reasons of to help farm the land, to help the more kids you.
And especially boys.
Yeah,
the
the
boys
more
were
children
needed.
you have, the more valuable you was, right? It even speaks about that in the Bible, though, having multiple children.
It does. But a loaf of bread right now is $6 almost, so we down to one child family.
Right? But it's so crazy because I'm trying to figure out, when did it change the stigma of, it's a problem with this person being having a child, because for so long it's been. But I think what happened is, as time went on from slavery and then to when women start becoming career oriented and things like, when we go to the industrialized time, right?
Times changed.
Yeah.
Women weren't staying home anymore.
Right.
It's like, I don't have time to have a baby. I need my own career. I need my own money. And a lot of times the men back then didn't live long either.
Right.
Before welfare. So how was she supposed to take care of 11 kids?
Right.
She needed to find another husband to help support her.
I know that's right.
So if you can't do nothing but be a maid, and you making $1 a week, and you got to get a sack of potatoes, some flour to make do, you got 11 kids.
Right.
That's different.
So you got pregnant at 13, had him at 14. Now let me ask you a question around. So you were just going into adolescence, right?
Yes.
According to, your body was doing more than what adolescence does.
I was built. My body was not of a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old. I probably looked like I was 17 or 18.
Well, that's kind of how they look now.
Yeah,
like
they look
19,
like that
20.
now.
Yeah. So did you have friends around at that age?
I did,
10?
but a lot of my friends were older. And that plays a part, too, because they were all sexually active.
Talk about it.
Okay. So they were sexually active. Most of them were like 16, 17. So hearing their little stories and how they were doing things and what was going on kind of made me kind of like curious and, I want to, I'm going to try. And it wasn't all what I thought it was going to be. But
so going through your pregnancy, did those friends, those older friends, did they have children?
No.
They were active, but they want to have children.
Right.
Right, because they probably had some education behind that, right?
As also, and if they had an abortion or something like that, my mom, her believing, being a Jehovah's Witness, it was like, you're having a baby.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think I really want a kid. But after, back then they had the video where you could see what would happen in the process of abortion. So that.
I think they were showing that to us in high school. Well, it wasn't high school yet. I think it was early middle school when they actually start talking about sex and different things.
And condoms and things like that.
But did you notice, I don't know, and I think back on it, I've noticed that when we were younger, they were talking about sex, but not a lot. They were talking more about drugs and alcohol.
I'm telling you,
the DARE program.
There you
DARE
go.
program. We all had those black shirts
With the
red.
red. Now that DARE was a more thing pushed on us than sex.
Yeah, I remember.
And actually, they should have probably pushed sex on us a little bit more because of coming out of the 80s into the early 90s, HIV and things like that were starting to hit more. You can get rid of chlamydia,
Right.
but they didn't educate us because they weren't educated enough about HIV. And
Correct.
so
I
that's
think
a
they
whole
kind
nother,
of stayed away from
yeah,
that topic because it was
they did.
the whole drug. That's all. I remember in school talking about DARE all the time, and that
Oh,
was
my
one of the
God.
reasons why I would not do drugs because they showed me a black lung for cigarettes. They showed me where people, you know, they had that little board here, right, and show you this is what
Now,
PCP
what your lungs
is.
is gonna look like.
They had all the
This is what it
drugs.
looks like.
This the lungs was looking black like your shirt. I said, ain't no way, ain't no way.
Yeah, I don't think I
don't
didn't mess
remember.
with drugs at all because maybe because of that.
There, I'm telling you, there, and seeing just people in your family,
my goodness.
seeing people on the street. Listen, we
Oh, and I
grew up in
lived
this.
where I lived at, you know, through the alleyway. It was either a wino or a crackhead or, you know, someone walking by. You would see bags on the ground and stuff, and you'd be like, oh. And now that I'm a nurse, you know, remember the needles look like the little insulin needles that we have, and it's like my mom and dad would be like, oh, we got to clean up the street or whatever. They would be outside sweeping because in the alleyway, in between two houses of a row, it would be needles in there and things like that. But yeah,
They don't, yeah.
drugs was real.
The drugs, the way that
Drugs
they
were
talking, I
real.
think it probably because it was so like it was so much, and you just seen everywhere you turn. And then you know the city of Chester at that time. Before then, Chester was a thriving city, a thriving community, right? But the time in the 80s and 90s where we grew up, all we saw was people
On
drugs, shot, killed. You know, most of our family members were drug dealers. Most of, you know, some of them went to jail. So the whole sex and pregnancy thing really wasn't a heavy topic.
It kind of passed our family enough, and well, the school most definitely. They just wanted us not to do drugs.
Right.
If you got pregnant, I guess they just really didn't care, or it was just like, okay, you know. But
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's because drugs was like killing people and pregnancy wasn't.
that might be true.
You know, like
that might be true
it
because
kind of depends on the effect of it because we know, like we said, it's generational. We know that that's what happened.
Cocaine was very heavy then too.
Yeah.
Marijuana didn't come out, I think. Well, it came out.
It came out.
It was
They was
out,
doing it, but it wasn't causing because it wasn't what it is now.
No.
It wasn't the stuff in there like that.
No,
So
I don't know what's going on
Yeah.
now. This is
so
a different
it
ball.
wasn't really heavy talk. So did you continue to be friends with those people?
You know, I did, and they didn't treat me any different. It just was, I felt funny because I was young. I didn't have any money. I didn't have education. I'm like, okay, it just got real. It just got real. So now I'm asking my mom and dad, I need milk. My mom's like, I'm going to sign you up for the WIC program. And I can remember her saying, well, we make too much money, you can't get WIC. And I'm like, okay, I need clothes, Pampers. And my son's father, you know, he didn't have a job. He tried, but you know, it wasn't enough for us to actually maintain as teenagers for a child.
Right.
You know, so I couldn't fault him but so much because the ignorance of us both having a child. So that's how that went. My mother and father were my main.
So you had to depend on your parents
Oh,
to
yeah.
help you because of WIC, even though it was but it went on the household income.
It did. And so I breastfed.
Okay.
From
Wait, you breastfed?
Yeah, my mother was like, you're breastfeeding.
14 years old
Listen, the
breastfeeding.
skin peeled and everything, and I had a kidney infection the whole time I was pregnant because, that's what I wanted to share with you. Adolescent pregnancy was totally ignorant. I drank nothing but Pepsi, ate hot sausages, and I didn't drink any water. That is the ignorance from being an adolescent pregnancy until I had my next child. We'll get to that, but no nutritional value, none. None. I don't remember eating much vegetables, maybe a salad. I loved hot sausages and Pepsi and tacos.
And nobody told you not to do that?
My mother would say, you need to eat some greens. You need to eat your vegetables. And it just couldn't get the water to my mouth. Oh, it was horrible.
So, yeah.
Kidney infection, off and on. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So that's the difference of having education too, because when you're pregnant, you have to be educated on what to eat, how to eat, what nutritional stuff that baby needs to grow.
Right.
Well, I didn't have a problem having them, but it was 8 pounds, 10 ounces. Yeah.
It's sausages
Yeah.
and Pepsi.
Oh my goodness. My mother told the doctor, "Don't give her any pain medicine." He said, "No, ma'am, she's too young. We have to give her."
Wait, what?
Yeah, she was being mean. Oh, she was mean with it. So
I
he
think
said,
that was kind of to teach you a
"Oh, yeah,
lesson,
teach me
right?
a- She didn't have to teach me another one because I ain't have another baby for 12 years. Okay, she didn't teach me another lesson. I got this one, honey. I was with 12 years.
Wow, wait, so she said don't give her no pain
The
medicine.
doctor looked at her and said, "Oh no, she's too young. We have to." I mean, I was screaming, and then I got to screaming under control, and they taught me how to breathe and all that. Miles class I took, and I was the youngest one in that, so they were looking at me funny there, like
Wait, you
she's a
took
bit.
a
I
Miles
took a
class?
Miles class. Y'all said, "Listen, I gotta learn how to breathe." I got listen, and after a while, I kind of like embraced the fact that I'm gonna have a baby.
Right,
So
okay.
if this is what it is, I gotta figure out what to do or how to do this thing, you know.
Right.
So I took Miles because they looked at me like I was crazy. You know, we had women aged that died to have a baby, and here's this kid in here having a baby, don't know her behind from her hand or how to change a diaper. So
Right.
it got real, Donna. It got real.
But that's good because even, again, being so young, you were 13 at the time, most of the time around our age group or whatever, when it happens, they hide your children. Like, they hide your,
No,
like,
I was
like
never
teen-
ashamed of him.
Yeah, but even parents, so your parents wasn't happy at first, right?
Right,
But eventually
right.
they came.
They had to come around
yeah.
because it was their choice as well, because you didn't want me to have an abortion. So here comes a baby.
Yeah,
You know.
because some parents will hide their teens because of the embarrassment,
No, they didn't
and the
hide
shame
them.
and things
My
like
father-
that.
yeah.
And you listen, we're going to class. We're going to have to learn something.
And my father, he played a big part in that as well. My mother was sick, like I said, she still was working, but my father took me shopping for the baby. He was the best father. Shout out to my father, Roosevelt. He's still alive and one of the best fathers. He really, really looked out. Him and my son are very close right now, very close. But he looked out. He made sure he had Pampers, milk, clothes for the boy. He thought he must have been in church every Sunday, or Louis Farrakhan. He would put the part in his head and have his hair going to the side. I used to come home, because I was working at the time, I got a little job, and I would come home and Bree would be in a 3-piece suit. I said, "Where is he going?" He said, "I washed him up, his hair done." I said, "Oh boy," he was ready. But yeah, he was
Wow.
wonderful.
I think that's
Wonderful.
so awesome because let me just pause there, because on the show a couple times we talked about the importance of the father being in a home.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, I had a wonderful father.
Yeah,
I
the
had a
importance of
wonderful
it
father.
and the difference is, when they're not in the home.
Yeah.
So, you just spoke so highly of your father and how much support you have from your father.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of support. He never. He came over to the hospital and I told him I was pregnant, and I really wanted to go with the story, Jesus is back, but that wasn't going to work. And the nurses come in there clapping, "Congratulations." "Why are you clapping?" "You're pregnant." "Are you dumb? Did you check the chart to see how old I am?" My God. So I got to tell my parents now, "You clapping." I ain't happy. I don't know what I'm going to do. Adoption never was an option for me. I couldn't imagine having a child out there and someone else having it. But I don't blame anybody if they have a child,
Right,
and they
yeah.
give it up to someone that's able to care for it. So let me make that clear. I'm pro-choice. I'm for life, but in certain situations, rape, those kind of things, I'm pro-choice on that. That's just my opinion. And a lot of times, you don't know someone's situation.
Right.
You really don't. And you've been a nurse for a long time. We've seen a lot of things.
Seen a lot of things, yes.
A lot of things.
Wow, so 13 had just under 14. So, all right, so talk about you having to get a job now.
Okay, so I started out as a shampoo girl. That went for a while. Made good money with tips, and was happy that Miss Janice gave me a shot at being a shampoo girl. So I did that for a while. Dropped out of school. That was rough, because now I'm reading on a 7th or 8th grade level almost, and just ignorant,
Why did you choose to drop out of school? Tell me a little bit about that.
I wanted to work. I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to be able to take care of him on my own. his father, he went away. As you know, wherever he went, I'm gonna put him out there like that. But
He went on an
extended vacation. He went on, girl. He went on. So I was left with that bundle of joy to figure out how he gonna eat. And I had parents, but when you're independent, as I am, and a motivator and a hustler that I've grown into over the years, you don't want to depend on anybody really to do what you created or what you caused. You want to put some effort in to show that I'm doing this. I'm making an effort. It may not have been the best, but I did what I could.
Was that a hard decision though to say all right, I need to work and not go to school?
It was different because everybody else was going to. By that time, everybody was at the high, and they were going to formal. They were going to prom and the football games and different things, and I didn't even want to show my face. It was like, I don't want to be around them. You know what I mean? I just don't want them to see me and be like, oh, I ain't seen her for years. Where's she been? Well, I've been at work. So,
Okay.
So the story goes really crazy. I left home at 16. Had a job. Emancipated from the state. Wound up getting a job and taking care of my son. Moved into my own apartment. Met a guy. He's my husband now. So that's one good story about it. And he loved my son. He took my son on as his. So my son was one and a half, and I've been with him ever since. And one thing I can say, some people say stepdads, and I say bonus dads, step in. But I don't think I could have really raised him the way that I did without having him. Because women, we have boys, but you can't make a man.
Right.
In spite of not having the same blood, the values of what to do and how to do were put. And we didn't have the best relationship, of course, but he was there. So I really appreciate my husband for that. I didn't have anything to give. Most of the time when you're in a relationship, you have something to give, not just intercourse or money. You meet a person, the only thing I had was my son, and that's what I gave him, so.
It's interesting you said that because, Becky, I thought that your husband was your son's biological father.
Really?
Because I guess he was so young.
Yeah.
I thought, like, all this time, I really thought that was, and I thought, that's pretty awesome, though, the fact that he came along and just...
No, he's not, but I actually, this is funny, I'm saying this on air, I mean, I'm open like that, but I actually had forgot that he wasn't. I did because he was just there. He was there the whole time. I mean, changing diapers with me, potty training.
Right.
I mean, I would go to work some days and not be able to drop him off at daycare, and he would keep him if he didn't have to work. So it's deep.
Wow,
it's deep.
I really thought. But I think, as I look at parenting and stuff, I think that you should not really be able to tell the difference of biological and non-biological. Like the fact that I don't use the word step parents either. I use bonus parents. I think that because it's an added bonus, it's not a takeaway. It's an addition, right?
Correct.
So I see families where you actually can tell there's a difference. Like the treatment is different, the attitude is different, and I'm just like, well, how is that an addition? So my mom, had my sister had her young, but my dad. Is not my sister, my older sister, but she passed away, rest her soul. It's not her biological father, but he raised her and she still had a relationship with her father, her biological father. But my dad, I didn't even know my dad wasn't her biological father until a very long time. And I don't know if I was naive or something. She was going to school to see her dad and her dad's side of the family. But because my dad loved her so much and cared for her so much. And I think that that's just amazing how when families come together, you really become one unit.
Yeah.
Like, now that I'm, divorced, like I don't, the woman that he's with now. Okay. But I tell my son, it's like I don't hate her. I don't have anything because she loves you. So why would I hate somebody that loves my own kid?
That chapter was going, and we'll just bless whatever they're doing. Long you treat my child good, we good to go, babe.
I think that we're taught for so long how separation, everything is separate this and separate that. Yeah. But how are we ever going to help a community and heal a community if we don't do it as a combined thing?
Yeah.
So if they're willing, you know, so
If
I thought
they're
that I
willing.
think that's awesome because I'm telling you, all this time I thought that he was a buyer.
We've been together for a long time.
very
We've been
long.
together actually 27 years.
Yeah, because your son's 28 now.
Yeah, he's 28. He just
Yeah.
turned 28 in July 29th.
Yeah. So you have your journey going through parenting at a young age. You working. At what point did you go back to school though?
Okay, so I did, when you guys were graduating, I went on and did the test and got my diploma. I didn't walk, but I had it and I got it. So I didn't feel that I earned to walk. Even though I had with my credentials, I just felt like I didn't go through that whole journey. My journey was totally different.
Right.
Like prom and the girlfriends, the arguments and all that. I missed all that.
Interesting enough, I didn't walk either.
No.
No.
Why?
I graduated in 98. I didn't walk. I chose not to walk because I didn't have the family support.
Wow.
Yeah, I was out there, a lot of family situations, you know.
Yeah.
At one point had to be a foster care. So there's a lot, you know, has
Yeah,
happened
but you
to
have
me.
a phenomenal story.
I know,
too.
but it's crazy. I did not walk because I was like, who is going to show up for me who have not shown up for me in my life?
Well,
so
I know that feeling.
Yeah, so
know
I did
that
not walk.
that
Believe
feeling.
it or not, I did not walk, and that I chose not to walk.
Well, I have a
So-
situation where it was like, oh, is it real? Did you really finish school? And I'm like, look,
Did you say
I got a shift to do.
I got the evidence right
Yeah,
here.
okay.
I got the proof here.
you know, sometimes family can be a little rough.
Yeah.
Things happen, and I think they happen for the best because we wouldn't be the women we are now.
Absolutely, I wouldn't change anything.
No, I thought about it. I thought, well, maybe I will change some things, but nah, I'm good.
So, but you you got your diploma,
Yeah,
hey, and so you
yeah.
went back because again, a lot of times people don't go back.
Yeah,
to school,
I mean,
don't
and
get,
that right there was a bother because it was like, okay, what am I going to tell my son for his education? How am I going to do this? His dad is on his own journey, and where does this fit in for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wound up doing CNA for a while, and then I went to phlebotomy school at Newman, and then I went to nursing school.
Wow.
So by the time I was 23, going on 24, I was a nurse.
Wow. You know what's interesting? Well, what I found interesting and pretty amazing part of your story is that, all right, the situation happened. You was out there hanging out with your friends or whatever, being fast is what they called it.
Fast,
Being fast, right? And no education behind it or anything because you're 13, you don't know. Ignorance, right?
Ignorance.
But however, you took that situation and said, okay, this situation is not going to keep me down.
No.
This is not going to.
I didn't want to be a statistic, Donna.
Yeah, a statistic.
When
Yeah.
you say that word, it's hard on me.
Yeah.
Statistic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, she over there. She on drugs.
Right.
I knew she wasn't going to make it. I knew she was going to be like that. That was not going to be my story.
I know that's right.
That was not going to be my story.
Wow. So that's what drove you to continue to do. Like, what was that drive? And did you have adults, like mentors or somebody to speak life into you?
You know what? It's funny. I had no one. I can't really say that I had a woman that I would go to and talk to or say, what do you think I should do like this? How should I do that? I didn't have that.
Wow.
I would go to work, come home, had a few buddies, but they wasn't on the same page that I was.
Right.
Y'all don't have kids, or some might have had a kid, but you're older. We're not in the same lane. This
Right.
lane right here is just for Becky. I'm walking this straight with God and looking in this little boy's eyes every day of how are we going to make it? How are we going to live? How are we going to do this? And so I got my apartment, and then I got evicted.
Okay.
Boom. That was a hit. Got evicted, had a dog. Somebody called the people on me, so we had to leave. I got the dog for my son to make him happy. But it was a blessing in more ways than one.
Right.
Because I bought my first house at 19. In the state of
that's
Delaware.
right.
Yeah. So you pushed me into promised land, boo.
Right.
You thought what you did might have damned me, as they
Right.
say, but it blessed me.
You know what's interesting, Becky? I posted on Facebook today. I said that being uncomfortable
Oh, Bill.
it's not always the opposition is not always bad.
No,
It is
no.
really an opening for transformation.
Being uncomfortable will make you do things that you want to do or things you have to do or
Right.
things you're going to do. Uncomfortableness is the one that puts you into your next phase. When you're comfortable, you don't do much.
Right.
When you feel safe, you don't do much.
Right.
When you're uncomfortable, you coming up with a plan.
Right.
How am I gonna hustle to do this? How am I gonna make this happen? You start writing stuff down. I carried that yellow envelope around buying that house for about 7 or 8 months. Honey, and the lady, when I got to the table, I was short about $500 or $600. God bless a woman named Carol Quadro. Rich woman, realtor, and not to say I can put her out there like she rich, but in my eyes, she was rich.
Right.
She said, give her a house and wrote the check. She said, Becky, pay me the money back when you get it.
Wow.
I bought my house. I was only making about $11, $11 and $12 at the time. Bought my house, $75,000. I'll never forget the price. And the state of Delaware came out and took pictures of me, interfaith housing. Took pictures of me and my son in front of the house and everything. I was really proud. First mortgage, $700. I was like, oh, this is hot.
I wish I could
honey, listen.
Can I get
Listen, if I get a mortgage for $700, I own the block.
Hello. So you didn't have any mentors, you didn't have anybody speaking to your life. Like, you literally came out, like, you was really kind of naked in this world, and you was forced to close yourself.
Right. And I go back to my husband. I don't want to keep on putting him on the scene, but he put a lot by him being older than me. He's 13 years older than me. That's a long story. We ain't gonna go there too much. You know, that young girl stuff still kicking. You lie about your age, you get caught and all that. Yeah, long story on that one. Well, we ain't got time for that segment. Okay. But that's another thing young girls do, lie. A lot of guys are in jail. A lot of men are subjected to a lot of things because a young girl like myself, I could have got a lot of guys in trouble. Out there just saying, yeah, I'm 14, I'm 13, I'm 19, I'm 18, you know, just lying just to be cute, wanting some attention.
Right.
Because my home situation was good, but my mom being sick, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I'm looking for love in different places. And people don't know you. When you're that young, you even try to compromise then to find what you're missing. Mm-hmm. We go to food, it could be drinks, it could be drugs, it could be anything. And at that time, it was guys. You know, they fall in love with my brown eyes. Oh, you cute. You know, so it put me somewhere where I didn't belong.
Right. Okay.
I really didn't belong because I'm out here having sex, unprotected sex, covered sex with people how long I know you? Oh, I don't know. What's your last name? I don't know your mama. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, and it's like, wow, you were really just out here doing different things. I ain't slept with the whole city or nothing like that, but I'm just saying, you know, when you out there, you doing things that it's just like, are you serious? Right. But you think you're cute. Right. You think you're doing something. You got everybody, oh, you know Becky, yeah, I know Becky. And you get a name, you think somebody, no, you look bad, you know. And looking back, I mean, it was just plain ignorance. And I thank God for covering me in his blood, you know, not let me have any diseases or anything like that because, you know, God watches over babies and fools. Mm-hmm. So I might have been both, a baby and a fool. A baby and a fool. So he covered me in his blood, and I thank him every day I get a chance, every morning, every night, every day. But
so you found something inside of you, because a lot of people say, you know, I've had crazy situations growing up or whatever, and they always say, who did you look up to? Who was your mentor? Mm-hmm. But you had to figure this out for yourself. You had to.
My husband dwelled in me a lot, like directions. I had a lot of directions, like, you know, you want to move like this or you want to move like that. But me being eager and having this drive in me, like, nah, I got to get it. Like, I want to do this. I got to hustle. You know, I'm going to go get these bags. I'm going to get scarves. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to do this and do that. Always entrepreneuring. Always coming up with a plan. I got a plan right now. If I ain't got a plan, I ain't doing nothing.
Right.
I always got a plan.
I think that there's something that God places in us innately that's in us to know that we want better. A lot of times we just don't know how to do better, or we don't have the resources and tools and stuff, no matter what age you are when it comes to parenting, or even what age you are just for life yourself, because life be lifing, right?
Listen, it don't matter. At 42, I'm still thinking, tomorrow I'm going to hustle and get up and grind. How am I going to do this? Okay, you know, young kids say bags. I say situations. You know, I'm going to get this situation over here going. I'm going to get this going. I'm going to cook over here. You know, but life happens.
Life happens. This stuff, you know.
You get hit and take a spin. And, you know, Donna, like you were saying, people on drugs and people don't. at one point we would look at them a certain kind of way and be like, oh, they on drugs, or she out here in these streets, she getting high, or this and that. Life has spin them somewhere.
Man, now that I think
When you take a spin on your own, it don't have to be drugs, it don't have to be certain things, but you look at a person different, like, nah, don't talk about them, just pray for them. Just say,
Right.
Lord, cover them. Give them a little bit more strength for tomorrow or tonight
Yeah.
to stay away or to get back on the beat of knowing your
Yeah.
name.
I think it's out of pure ignorance. When we're young, we don't know nothing, right? When
No.
we're young, we don't know nothing. And then as you grow, if you grow and still not know nothing,
Then, you know, it's a time and an age for everything.
Yeah. So then I think, like you said, I don't. You know, one of the things that people say to me, like, you don't judge anybody. Well,
No.
how can I?
No.
I don't. Everybody's situation. I think the more life kept lifing with me, made me more and more humble. I remember, like, I used to think I
Humble.
really had it
That's a
together.
word.
I mean, I said, all right, I graduated high school, didn't get pregnant, right?
Right.
All right, that didn't happen because my mom did, my older sister did, like
Right,
that.
so you was doing
like,
good.
I was
You
like,
was-
all
you
right,
was
I'm
on the
good.
money.
I'm in high school, not pregnant. All right, okay. As soon as I graduated high school, got pregnant. Right after, it was like, cause that was the
I
standard,
know,
right?
yeah.
But look, that was the standard. That was the line. It says, okay, high school, then pregnancy.
But
Right.
but let me ask you this. Okay, so some people that we know, they went to college. College wasn't really in my story.
Right.
Was college in your story right after high school? Because
No.
you were smart. You know, it's like, all right, Donna's going to college.
You know what I was doing? I was going to go into service. And the
Oh,
reason
no,
why
I wasn't
you
going to
wasn't
service.
do
I need my fingernails and
The re-
I wasn't going to make it there. I wasn't going to make
And
it.
me, the reason why I was going to go into service was an escape from life, escape from the city, like,
Okay.
because that's what some people do. Like,
You run.
You try to run from
You run.
situations. So ended up, you know,
You run.
my prom date,
Okay.
ended up dating my prom date, and I ended up. His family loved on me so much, right? His
Yeah.
family was just very nice. And again, as a young, you looking for love the things that you lack at the time when you think that you're lacking and things like that, so you start looking at other places.
Oh, yeah.
So I got married young. I got married at 19, bought a house at 19, had a baby at 19,
Wow.
all at the same time. I thought I had it together. I was like, okay, I didn't get pregnant in high school. I got married and then had a baby.
And I'm doing all right in this thing.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And never mind, I had the baby 3 days after my 19th birthday, 3 days after I got married, right? Listen,
Well.
they didn't say you had to have it. They just said you had to be married before you had the baby. Right? I'm thinking I got it good. Went back to school, became a medical assistant. I'm like, I think I got it good. The whole time, miserable, depressed,
Oh,
just life, just really just autopilot life, just living. I knew I had to care for this child. I knew I had to provide for this child, but I didn't have the care in me because of my life situations.
Right.
So it wasn't until she was about 2. Now
That you
I'm
really-
21 that I start to understand, and that's when I received Christ. But that whole time I thought I had it together, and even after that, I went to nursing school. I got things going on. I bought a house and another. I bought my second house.
Start making the
And
bag.
but then life hits you.
Oh, I ain't gonna tell me.
Life hits you. I go through medical issues. I've had a premature son. I went through cancer. I went through so many different things. I went
Oh,
through
you're a
divorce.
walking testimony.
And
I know
then,
that much.
And then I'm like, yo, you can't think that you're so because
No.
you go
No.
over this hurdle.
Let me tell you something.
Does not. You think that's a
The man that sits outside this building across the street that may be sitting there drinking a bottle of Mad Dog 2020 could be a scientist.
yeah.
He could be a doctor that had his trip and a fall.
Yes, it only takes a
Who
second.
are you or anybody to judge anybody that's out here on these streets?
Right,
When you think about it, you don't know where you're gonna be at tomorrow.
right.
All this vanity, the house,
That's
the
what
car.
it is, yeah.
We can make $200,000 a year. You can have $1 million home, Bentley, whatever. It's all vanity. At the end of the day, if you don't know Christ, if you don't understand your walk, if you don't understand what you're doing,
Right.
that don't mean nothing. Those are the things that God just bless you with to enhance what He has
Right.
for you to do. But it can all be taken away tomorrow.
Right. I mean, you can think
Peace
about
of
it.
mind is
Peace,
everything.
you can't buy peace.
You can't buy
You
peace.
can't buy peace and you can't buy health.
Yeah.
People think they can.
No, you can't buy health.
When you
can't
look
buy
at the
health.
celebrities, like you look at celebrities and kids and things like that, there's so many celebrities that are taking their life or taking their children's life, and you think that, they got all this money, they parenting, they doing all this great things, but at the end of the day, it's like, what is going on in your household?
What's going on in your mind?
In your mind, absolutely.
What's in your mind?
It only takes a split second for your mind to
Baby, the mind is a powerful thing.
I think
the mind
that
is powerful.
When life hits you, right, and we start going through things on our own and start growing and stuff, we just look at things different. We have a different perspective. We have a different care, a different love that we offer people.
Let me tell you, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. Got married at 27 and had my daughter Morgan, which is the light of me. I'm living vicariously through her. Like, really. She's head cheer coach. I mean, it's just everything that I wasn't. God has allowed me to see in her. So I thank him for that opportunity. But it wasn't until I was 33, I had my son. Well, my son was graduating from high school. I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I'm fat. What is going on? I've been sharp all these years. Fat. Rashida, shout out to Rashida Lee. I got to keep my hair done for the last 28 years, but keeping me looking good and me thinking I'm cute. And that weight, I had a whole breakdown when he was graduating from high school. That's how I had all the, weight loss surgery, tummy tuck, boob job, lift. I woke up one morning, I didn't know who I was. All I did was work. Wow. I didn't live. I went on a trip or two in my 20s, but I didn't do girl trips. I didn't go away for a week or two. I mean, my mom took us on vacations when we were kids, but that wasn't an opportunity for me to do at that time because I was in my hustling mode. Like, I got to make sure this is done. And that stuck in my brain for years, Donna. Years. Like, my 30s was moving out. I'm going here, I'm going to do this and do that. But it wasn't until I woke up, like, I think I was 32. My mom died when I just turned 30. And I realized I ain't lived at all. Like, everybody in their 20s, talking about, we went on a girls' trip. It was 8 of us. We did this. And I was like, dang, I never did that.
Do you think it's because hustle is all you know? Like, this is what I need to do to make it happen?
That's been the whole plan. It's been the whole grind. I think 2021 was the first time since I started working my whole life that I actually took off like 6 months from work.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time in all these years. And I was scared to death, like waking up making 7-Up cakes. I mean, I'm cooking like I got a restaurant. And that's how I gained some little bit of weight. But when you know to just get up and go and do, where are you living at? Where's the live time? I mean, I enjoyed my life, don't get me wrong, but the vacations, like this year I went a few places and it was just like, oh, I need to get back to work or I need to do this. But when do we live?
Right. I think sometimes when you've had a hard life, right? If you had a life that just wasn't, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I love Langston Hughes. That's his quote. And he in there he tells his mom, so their son, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. And she talks about how I had rocks in it. There was times where I had no food to put on the table. Like, that poem just always resonated with me, right? But I didn't understand it as a young kid.
You got it now.
Yeah. But I think that, and I had this conversation with other people, when you've had such a hard time, you think that you're supposed to keep going, keep, like, it's almost like you, in your mind, you're fighting yourself out of a wet paper bag, but that's not really what you have to do, though. No. It's like we feel like
it's never
want to drop the ball.
It's never good enough.
Never good
enough.
Yeah. I remember even times, like, even after I got married and was working and I brought the house and everything, the crazy thing is, because I slept in the train stations, because I slept at Memorial Park, that every now and then, I would look for places for me and my kids to sleep just in case we were put out or just in case something happened, right? That mindset, it's like you're always looking for something to be ready for something to happen.
Something to
happen.
And
that kind of takes away from you.
I thought I was the only person that thought like that. No, honestly, that was just a pure chill moment. Because it's always like, what? What if this happens?
Yeah.
Or, how am I going to do this? And I think I came to a realization that it don't matter. God is going to protect you.
Yeah.
Lean not to your own understanding for whatever he's doing right now. You may not understand.
Right.
But he's going to bring you out.
Yeah. And knowing that, I think that's why it's so important for us older to mentor the younger generation, like it's in the book of Titus. It's so important because growing up, like, I didn't have that mentor, right? So I didn't know this A, B, and C. It wasn't until I became a young adult where I had to be mentored and pretty much mothered again, right? I'm 21 and I'm finding a bonus mom now. You know what I mean? I'm finding a mom for me. But knowing now that as I look back on it, it's like you don't have, it's not about the house, it's not about the car. It's like if it happened to happen. My house, I done had a couple houses foreclosed and had another house.
That's
you know what I
right.
mean? Like things are
You can buy
replaceable. But
another
I
house.
think that living in the moment,
where
cherishing
it's at.
our
That's it.
children,
That's
cherishing
it.
ourselves, like really being self-aware and being the best parents we can be.
Go ahead. I want to tell you this.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so when we was just talking about mentors and who could possibly have been my mentor, you're gonna laugh. So I still like her, but Little Kim.
Oh yeah, I was a
Okay,
Kim
so the song "Money, Power, and Respect."
Yeah.
that is my anthem. It will be my anthem. I'm totally love God in church, love Him to death, but that is my anthem. Money, power, and respect.
fan. Yeah.
I live by it, die by it. Money,
Yeah,
power, and
power,
respect. But as I get older, it's starting to simmer in a different way.
Yeah.
Not so much in that format, but that's part of my, it's on my arm.
Yeah.
You know, but watching that, I think that was like the only thing that I could relate to of how this thing got to go. Not so much how she danced or anything. I'm talking about the
Right.
song of hearing how you have to maintain. You need the money, then you get the power, then you get the respect.
Right.
And so I think that carried me a long way too.
Wow.
And I did have, you know what, I did have a few people that I would talk to, like Rashida's mom, Aunt Sandra. I would talk to her a few times and stuff. But to really like have a person like just to call every other day, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back at it now, and I have girls around me, young girls, and I'm like, where'd she come from? My daughter's friends or a little older than her, and I'm like, yeah, what is? And I'm like, okay. And my husband tells me all the time, that's God. And I'm like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that responsibility. I don't want that. But you can't say what you don't want.
Right, and God can trust you with it because you walk all this time with
Listen,
it, right?
I said,
You know,
Lord,
and it's
listen, my
always
plate
been-
now. Wait a minute. I don't know how many plates you gave me, but this one right here looking a little heavy. I might need another plate.
Listen.
He told me, I'm gonna tell you now, Becky, just keep your mouth going with what I'm doing. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, Lord, humble.
Yeah.
So
tell me about all right, so now you're in your adulthood, you're a nurse, you got things going on, and how did you all right, so you said you had surgery, right? You
Yeah,
did the surgery,
I had
then
the
you ended up
surgery.
having your own business and then your cookbook and
Okay,
talk
yeah.
about that now.
All right, so you know this is where I'm starting to evolve into Becky. Bariatric Barbii. I come up with this thing, I lose 130 pounds. I'm like, I done ate myself fat, I'm eating my way skinny. This ain't working. They told me I was gonna be a diabetic, and I don't like needles. I'll give them, but I ain't taking it. Child can't even get my finger pricked. Okay, so I had the lap band, and that went bad.
Okay.
So I wound up getting the gastric sleeve, and I've kept the weight off for now going on 11 or 12 years.
Oh,
I think
wow.
11 or 12 years. Then I had a tummy tuck because of the skin, got boob lift, and I've been maintaining now I'm at 170 right now, but I want to be 155 again. And seminars, talking to people about their weight and making people feel their best and look their best. It's like a dream come true for me.
Okay.
You have to be healed mentally to be healed physically. If your mind's not right, your body's not going to be right.
Right.
And just because you do the weight loss surgery and you get fillers, you get the butt, the boobs, and you still a mess inside. You
Yeah.
still a wreck, boo.
Yeah. You said a rat.
A wreck.
A rack. Okay.
Wreck. You could look like $1 million, but your mentality
Yeah.
is messed up. Your house dirty, you look a mess, and you spend 10 grand on that butt. But we're going to work on it. We're going to get you some Jesus. But that's where we're at right now in the world. The plastic surgeon took over, and I want to thank God for it because I am going to be a recovery nurse. And, you know, you need a nurse to come over and look at your drains, or, you know, I'm going to have something coming in the near future for people that don't want people to know that they had surgery.
Right.
Or they do, but they need a nurse to take care of them afterwards.
Okay.
That's my next move. Got a few moves. But the cookbook, I got one for you.
Okay.
I got a few things for you. So that's the cookbook. I don't know
Okay.
if you want to hold it up or how you want to
Yeah,
look.
Rebekah McDonald.
It's old. I think it's 2018 I did that. So that's the first one, cooking with a twist.
Okay.
It has a lot of recipes in there for people that have had surgery that are looking forward to just eating better.
Okay.
And it works. I was very proud of that. That was my first one. So I don't know if I'm going to have a part 2 just yet. I'm more so concerned about people getting the right surgery, where you go to get the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting surgery for?
Right.
Are you getting it for yourself or are you getting it for a man?
So
Or
you're
who you
working on
getting
the
for?
mind of people minds.
Yeah.
Where the mind at?
The mind. You can't do surgery unless you're right mentally. Because a lot of women have surgery and they mess up their home. You lose your husband because now you've never been thin or smaller and now you think you're Madonna. You know what I mean? Or you think you're somebody that you're really not. You're not her, boo. You're still the same person. You just lost weight.
Right.
And sometimes that can go to your head. That's one of the number one reasons. Another thing is women, people that have weight loss surgery, they drink. You go from one addiction to another.
Oh, wow.
It can be alcohol. It can be gambling. It can be being promiscuous. You know what I mean? The attention can go through your head. It really does. I've seen it happen too many times. Or you become a closet eater again and vomiting and different things. So
Wow.
if your mind's not right, you can't do it.
All right. So then you got the book out, and then you have the business. What's the business?
Okay, so me and my husband, we have an agency. I can't talk too much about it because I'm still waiting for a few things to go through. But that's the next step to go into take care of the elderly or maybe do kids. Just make sure I got my license for both of them. We're getting older. I mean, 20 years in this game is a long time to be a nurse. It's time to switch over to a little something different.
So leadership roles.
A little more leadership.
Yeah,
more
more
leadership.
I think that's where I am too at nursing. I've been nursing for a very long time, and then as I transition, like I'm looking to see what exactly.
And the nurses aren't the same anymore. They don't have the same value, bedside manner.
Yeah, the whole healthcare system is different.
It's changed. It's changed.
But I think one of the things that's promising about the healthcare system, though, because I know, we've been there so long, you just see that a lot of it was, if you don't have the money for this and you don't have the money for that, or like a lot of drug companies or different things was running the show, right? Now they're going back, it was volume based, right? Volume,
Correct.
like these numbers.
Correct. Numbers.
Now it's going to value based, right?
Yeah.
Where it's the client is the patient and stuff. And that's kind of hard when you always had a volume system, right?
Yeah.
So I do see, that's the hope I do see in nursing is that, but it ain't the same. It ain't the same.
It's not
but
the same.
but I think one reason why it's not the same is because we've grown and matured and we've seen some things,
Yeah,
right?
I've seen a lot.
So I think when we were younger, the older folks probably was like, it ain't the same.
It ain't the same. Y'all coming in here, y'all look different.
Uh-huh.
You got on fingernails
Yeah.
and you got red nail polish on,
Right.
so things have changed, especially when they took the cap. I wanted that cap so bad. That nursing cap, I wanted to wear that cap.
Let's
took
talk
that from
about
nurses.
you said nursing cap, that little white cap.
That
The
little white cap. I'm
with
a
the
nurse.
pin in it. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit because your story is just phenomenal. I could probably have you on here for multiple times.
Uh-oh.
Talk about talk about how did you become Miss Clayton?
Ooh, girl.
Let's get that out.
I got my little crown, brought my crown for you to see.
Look, y'all, she got a bag.
I got my little suitcase.
She got her little.
I want to thank, I call her Nikki. Her last name Washington. She is actually Miss Delaware now, and she's going to Vegas to compete. But that's my crown, girl.
Oh, look at this.
That low. Now, and this massage.
Miss Clayton.
Miss Clayton. It's not too many of us in Clayton. Well, it's getting better now, different. It's a diverse town now.
For y'all, for those who don't know, Clayton is in Delaware.
Yeah,
and
makeup on there.
it's also, most people know it as Smyrna because it's like right there.
Yeah, right next to each other. My little crown.
Put the crown on. Tell us about that. I think one of the things what I just loved about this whole situation is that we talked about you. You got pregnant at 13.
And I wanted to be prom queen too.
Wow.
I really did. I
You
thought
got-
I had a chance.
You got
Even being thick, I thought I had a chance. I believe if I'd have made it that far, I probably would have.
Right.
Could
But
have.
at 13, get pregnant, 14, have a baby, go through all this life, life was lifing on you, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to this point where those, when you were younger, kind of shamed, it was a stigma,
Oh,
right?
yes.
You didn't really want to be seen, right?
Listen.
And now look how you are now. So
I
how?
am just so blessed with this whole thing. I'm not going to get teary-eyed. Wanting to be prom queen and wanting to do proms and, because I like to dress up. I like
Right.
that whole life and was stripped. And this opportunity came to me by a friend. Like I said, I call her Nikki. Her last name Washington. Wonderful girl. Wonderful girl. She's like, you can do it, you can do it. And I was like, now listen here, I don't want to go to nationals. I just thought this was going to be something I get into and we just do. And okay. Oh, no, this was a whole practice and walking and everything. Mind you, I'm short, thick, and bald-headed. I ain't got but 2 teaspoons of hair on my head, okay? These are my real beauty queens. I'm talking about blonde, long hair. I got to give Barbizon a shout out. Susan was just wonderful. She opened the gate for women, not just of, let me put this the right way, all nationalities. I've never seen this many black women in a beauty pageant.
Wow.
So it was wonderful to see, and she opened that door for them, for us. But she did a phenomenal job as well. But it was so refreshing to be in it. I wasn't worried about winning. I wasn't worried about placing. I wasn't worried about nothing. Just the fact of me being on the stage and walking across, and when the sash came, I slept in it. I ain't lying. I put the crown on. My husband looked over. He looked. He said, I said, I'm going to sleep with this thing on the night, brother. I'm sleeping with this one.
Wow.
I mean, and then coming from where I come from,
Right.
who would think that I would have a sash? And it may be small to some people.
Right.
I mean, I don't wear it every day now, but I've
But
never
that's your
wore.
accomplishment. That's
it's
something you've done.
It's like a mark off, like prom queen. You can have that.
You can have that.
You
I
can
got
have that
something
prom
better.
queen, baby. I don't want the whole town. Okay, it's going down. The whole
Forget a
town.
school. I got a
The
town.
whole town. We might have a lot of cows and horses, but they know who I am. I'm here. So
right.
it was a wonderful feeling. And then Donna, this is the part that really blew me. When they were placing us, and I was like, we're gonna call it a final 5. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Listen here, I might have a glass of wine after this, but I'm ready to go. I placed 5th place for the state, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. Okay, what's going on next? Because I didn't even understand how that was going. So 2 women left out of that, and they said final 3, and they said Miss Clayton. And I looked, I said, they talking to me? I'm 3rd place. So
Wow.
down to 3 people, and I said, Nikki brought me in. I said, if I win, I'm gonna take this crown off and give it to her because she wants to be Miss Delaware. She deserves it. She brought me in and molded me to a certain fact. I couldn't dare take that from her. So as real as I am and loyal, I'd have been like, this is for you. You know, that's loyalty. That's just me. But anyway, came in 3rd place. She did win 1st place. I was so happy for her. But just the place, that's not even normal. And it's not like I'm a size 2. I got 5s. You know, I'm cellulite. You know, I'm walking on the stage with my bathing suit on. I'm like, let me cover up. But, you know, it was something real. It was like, then my question was, how would you change things? And I told him, look at me. I don't look like nobody here. Everybody had long weave, or they had their hair, or they, you know, blonde hair, you know. Out of everything, I was the only one with no hair. And I was black, and I had blonde hair. So it was just like, who is she? She look real different. You know, a little different. And I was like, I'm going to be different.
Right. But what I love about this whole thing, and the reason why I wanted to talk about Miss Clayton and then come in 3rd place and Miss Delaware, because I think it's so awesome that you were like, you didn't get a chance to go to the prom. You wanted to be prom queen, right?
Yeah. And
then life was life, and so you had to drop out of school, right? You had to get a job. You had to hustle, you know, and you just continued to make it happen. And then the fact that you not only placed Miss Clayton, so you got a whole town, forget a high school, but then the whole state of Delaware, you're 3rd place.
Right.
That's an accomplishment in itself. That is like, okay, because I believe that all things work together for the good, right?
Yeah.
And that where we think that we lack in one area, God makes up in another area.
Honey.
And it was already in the plan alone, right? It's already, like, it's not
I've
like
never
he
seen this
decided to
coming.
say, you know what, Becky, you went through some stuff. Let me go let you be Miss Clayton or Miss Delaware. No, that was already in the plan. It was
Honey,
already in you
I
prior
want to
to
thank
you.
him for the plan. I want to thank him for the plan.
Yeah, it was already in you, because a lot of times we don't know what's in us because we're so afraid, we're so ashamed. We're like, you know, you could have just bounced out of life at 13 pregnant. A lot of people do.
I'm still in all about the whole beauty contest. it is something to behold. This is one for the books.
Yeah.
It really is, and I'm really grateful. And then even for other women or young girls to see me.
Mm-hmm.
She don't have no hair.
Right.
She ain't size 2.
Right.
She has some work done and not ashamed to tell it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and where I come from.
And your deeper story. I was 13 and I was pregnant, and look at me now. I'm a whole grown woman. I done went through some stuff.
Yeah.
By the statistics, we talk about
Girl,
them
I'm probably
stats,
supposed
right?
to have 9 kids.
9 kids.
Living on low income with a
Right.
bonnet on my head, smoking a Newport, sitting out
and
on the
drinking a
porch.
Pepsi.
Yeah. Or 211 maybe or something. I don't know. But yeah.
But what I'm saying is that God always finds a way. You know, they always say that what the enemy meant for bad, God turned it for our good. But that's not actually what the word says. The word says what the enemy meant for bad, God meant for good.
That's
so
right.
God doesn't have to oh, the enemy got this bad stuff on you, so let me come and turn it around for good. It was already in the making because he already said he put everything in us. So I think it's just amazing the fact that we go through life and we go through struggles, even into our parenting, and the fact that God brings us out on this side to say everything that we've gone through was worth it.
And yeah.
And that you didn't give up. And I think, 'cause time's run out, I want you to talk to young moms
Okay.
and their parents.
Okay.
What would you tell them? What would you tell a teen mom or even a teen boy, teen parenting, and then
Yeah.
also their support system, or how can people be assisted or help, things like that?
Well, being a parent and having kids that are pregnant is not a comfortable seat for the parent. But if you choose to make that choice to walk with your child, don't throw it in their face every day. Don't condemn them for their choice. We all make mistakes, and mistakes are blessings also. So that's a big thing. You know, some people think that just because you got pregnant, oh, it's a bad thing. No, my son saved my life. You understand what I'm saying? He saved my life on the fact that if the city or if I got with the wrong group, I might not be here. So God had a different path. He was the reason why I'm here now. I call him my hustle baby. Morgan's my precious moment, you know. But he's the hustle, the mold that started this whole thing, this whole journey. If I had not had him and look in his eyes and say, we got to make it, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So some young girl out there right now, I don't know if they're watching me or not, you might have a baby holding in your arms. Just because you have a baby doesn't mean that you've been damned. And that word is not a bad word, it's in the Bible. You haven't been damned, you've been convicted. That's part of your charge, to be that child's mother, to make a better spirit, a better self for this world. And as a parent, you know, you can hope for the best, lead and guide them. Don't make them feel less than. Because a lot of parents are, you got this child, you doing this, you doing that. No, mold them, give them what you didn't have, or give them what you know, so that they'll have a better chance in being a parent. And the guys that are having kids, you know, it's not easy on them either. They're like, oh, I got a baby, I got to figure out, you know. They might want to turn to the streets. They might want to turn here. It's nothing wrong. I know a lot of people don't want to work at Burger King, McDonald's, and all that. But find a way to maintain, because you don't want to go to jail and then you can't support that child. And the child seeing you behind bars in an orange suit. So that's not a way either. So, I mean, it's no easy way in it or out, but to work through it. And when you work through something and you grind and look at it in a different way of not being so depressing, because you don't have days you're depressed. You're going to have days you feel like, why am I here? Why did this happen to me? Why did it happen? Because you have something else to say. You got a story like Becky, Bariatric Barbii. So at the end of the day, I thank God for all that he's put me through, the good times, the bad times. I'm just really grateful. And even when you get sad or depressed, you know, a lot of people, our culture believes in God, Allah, Jehovah, Jesus, our Lord and Savior. You know it's a higher power. And when you call on it, he can hear you. He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Right. So I just thank God for the opportunity to be able to reach out. I appreciate you having me on the show too. But the young people, the generations are getting different, but they're also getting better with the step of understanding education. And they even eat better nowadays. Yeah. Oh, I'm eating whole food.
I know,
honey, it
right?
would save a lot back in my time.
Sprout,
yeah.
all of them on the scene now.
$40 salad. Can we get to save a lot? Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky.
Anytime. Anytime.
I'm just like.
Oh, I got to tell you, and through my journey at Bariatric Barbii, my little workout buddy was LaShawn Hillman. My little trainer, honey, she's bad.
Okay.
She got me toned in and ready so I can walk with them young girls. I was like, oh, these young girls for real.
I cannot.
And competition is serious.
Yeah.
They took that thing serious. Yeah. I was like, okay. You ain't ate in 3 days, maybe, but I'm going to go ahead and eat this cheeseburger. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite.
I am so in awe with, I think when I think about parenting and I think about, me growing up, like, I never wanted to be a parent because of my childhood. I just, and again, there's no slight to my parents. They did the best that they could, but what they had in time, like, I would never, talk bad about my parents. I love my parents with everything in me.
But we had a bitterness. But as you get older, as you get older,
you start to learn and mature. You realize that people really do the best that they can with what they have. Who are we to judge our parent at that time?
And when you have your own kids, you realize.
Yeah, like, Mama, you was right. I turned them lights out.
Turn that light off.
I think it's just so important for us to keep having these conversations that, let you know that
it's real.
It's real. It's relevant. Pregnancies out there. Again, 3 out of 10. That number is so much better than it was before. Yeah. But just encouraging you guys that even if you're parents and the shame behind it and all this extra stuff behind it, but at the end of the day, again, I still believe that parents want their children to be successful, even when they do things that we're not pleased with. So stay encouraged, everybody. Thank you for joining Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, the one and only Donna Janel. Join me here weekly at 7 p.m. Thursdays at cmpradio.net, Facebook, or YouTube. Again, I really want this to be a resource for people. And if you have a topic or if you know someone that could be on the show, just reach out to us, because I am looking for people to be on the show to have these conversations. Uncomfortable conversations, engaging conversations, but necessary conversations. Yeah. So listen, no conversation is off the table for me. I will talk about everything. If you're talking about you got 3 toes and you're parenting, I don't care. Let's just get it, okay? Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we will see you next week.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, my name is Donna, also known as Donna Janel, CEO and founder of Parenting with a Purpose. Our strive here at the podcast is to reach every home, whether it's single moms, married, single dads, whatever it is, foster parents, whatever, just bringing the ownership and responsibility and nobility back into parenting. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. And all parents need some help and guidance, and I'm just here to be a guide.